Hi guys, so today I'm going to talk about my tales part 2, and I'm going to talk about the 2016 season. It was quite a important season for me, so here we go. So 2016 I qualified for the European Aquathlon Championships in Châteauroux, and that was in June. So this was my first ever would be one of my first ever big races. I also decided to sign up for the Nationals, which was in Leeds a few weeks prior. So to give me some prep and see how it goes. So I decided to get a triathlon coach to help me with my swimming, because I thought I better improve my swimming, and of course I coached myself running, and I changed the way I run and stuff to try and improve myself, as well as looking at strength work as well. So this was purely aquathlon, and I've sort of knocked the cycling off the head for a few years now, because I was convinced it gave me injuries, and I've gone for a few years without being injured. So I'm going to talk about turning up to the national championships, my first big race, and it's part of the World Triathlon Series. It was in Leeds, and first time I've travelled so far up the country, and I was a nervous wreck and really nervous. So turned up to race day, got my stuff ready, and went to the start line, looking around, not knowing anyone. It was really hard, and also like big race, what do I do? So I decided to just get into the deep end in the middle of it and just try my best. No pressure, but obviously you are always nervous. The gun goes off and we start. And the first thing that happens to me is my goggles get knocked off. So I just managed to catch them. Now this happened to me about a month before at a local race, so I was prepared for that. But I learned from that. From now on, I always put my hat over the top of my goggles, so I don't put my goggles over the top of my hat. So I've learned from that mistake, so I don't get knocked off anymore. So I managed to get them. Obviously I was panicking, came out in the swim, and there was a massive train of people, because it's all different age groups. And I just got on there, and it was quite a long transition, about 2.5 minutes into, to get into transition from the lake. And I just ran up there as fast as I could. I got onto the run, and it was a very hilly run. I like hills, but it was very tough, and I remember coming thinking that I hadn't done very well, and finished and was happy with it. I was happy with the performance, because it was good practice, and found out I came third in my age group, so I was over the moon with that, and it was a great feeling to stand on the podium for the Nationals. So 2 weeks later at the GB race at Châteauroux, competing for GB. It was my debut. Absolutely, scared, nervous, all these sort of things that go through your mind. What are you going to do? I just didn't want to come last. I didn't want to just be there to make up numbers. I wanted to give it a go, because I use it as once in a lifetime opportunity, and might only be one time I get to do this. And we had the pasta party the night before. We got to mingle with some of the team, some friends I've made from there now, and I still keep in contact with them. And turn up to the race on the day. It's very hot. I had a cold leading up to it, so I wasn't sure how I was going to perform. I had to rest up a few days before. So I turned up to the race and got to the lake, the start line, and it was non-wetsuit. So obviously, not being a great swimmer at the time, non-wetsuit wasn't great for me. I preferred being more buoyant. And I was nervous. They called my name out, and I got into the water, and yeah, I was nervous. So my age group went off, and I came into the transition last in my age group, and I could see it because everyone had their shoes had gone. So I was a bit worried. So I just thought, well, I don't want to come last. I just got on the run and just carried on going and pushed as hard as I could. And I overtook quite a few people in my age group, and I remember clocking the names and knowing who they were. So that was something I kept targeting. And the last lap, I got around this corner and realised I had two people in front of me, and they were fighting each other. I was convinced that it could be for a medal. So I had 400 metres to go, and I thought, well, what do I do? Because I'm behind these two. They must know I'm there now, but I'm not experienced enough. So what do I do? So I decided 400 metres from the line is just to clench my fists, grit my teeth, and just sprint and go for it. And my mentality was that if I collapse, I collapse. I've given it my all, and whatever happens, I've given it my all. I got to the finish line and gave it my all. There's pictures of me like on my, like that, on my bending over, trying to get my breath. And I'm looking behind as well, just before the finish line. I found out that I got a bronze medal, so I was over the moon and really happy with that. So that was amazing feeling, getting on the podium, calling your name out in my age group was just a fantastic thing for my debut, and I couldn't believe it. So later on that year though, from the national championships, I qualified for the World Championships in Cozumel, part of the World Triathlon Series. So I thought I had to go. So I couldn't wait. Turned up. The format was slightly different. So it was 2.5k run, then a 1k swim, then 2.5k run. Now I learned a lot from this race. It was probably one of my worst races, but it was one where I learned so much from it. I stressed out a lot 2 days before because I found out that there wasn't a boat going from the main country mainland where we were from, going to Cozumel, to get us that early in the morning to the race. And so panicked, and then spent a lot of time on my feet the day before the race looking for a hotel and accommodation at Cozumel. Panicked, and therefore didn't eat right, didn't drink right, and because it was really hot there and stuff, and just was a nervous wreck as well. So I turned up to the race the following morning, and I was absolutely shattered. I drank loads but was dehydrated, and as soon as I started running, the heat was bad, and I've been sunbathing for the best part of 5 days, so it's important not to sunbathe when you've got a race because it zaps the energy out of you. So I learned that mistake. So you need to be staying indoors really, or covered up. And I turned up to the race. The race started, and I started running. And after the first mile, I started really struggling. My whole body felt weak. Jumped into the second part into the sea, and it was like a bath, so warm. Came out onto the run, and I really struggled to run, looking at about a minute slower than I normally run, and I just really struggled. I just wanted to get to the finish line, and I didn't enjoy it. The experience was amazing, but I learned from this, and what I learned was that these mistakes, like to keep calm before the races, is so important. Don't be nervous, don't stress out, and this also comes out in experience. So and I wanted to give it another shot the following year and come back and try and improve, and I already got my places for the European and the World Championships as a result of my performances in 2016. So that is my second part, that's 2016. So listen, there'll be more videos coming up soon of my tales, And thanks for listening, and please subscribe and leave a like, and if you've got any comments or anything you'd like to see, let me know. Thank you very much.
And the champions of this age group category, Henrietta Pacific and Yiannis Christodoulou. Christodoulou.